Welcome to another inspiring episode. I'm Jackie Denise, and today we're sitting down with Niko the Medium, a trance and evidential medium, author, teacher, and spiritual guide whose work is rooted in deep connection, compassion, and the belief that spirit is always near. Guided by messages from loved ones, Niko has dedicated his life to helping people experience real, loving communication with the unseen and find comfort, clarity, and healing through spiritual insight. Niko the Medium, up next. Niko the Medium, welcome to Different Facets of Happiness. How are you?
I'm well, Jackie. Thank you for having me.
I am so happy to have you, and I'm really curious as well. So I'll just dive right into the questions. When did you first realize that your experiences with spirit were not imagination, but communication?
They kept recurring. I kept putting it off. When I was a young child, I had a visitation.
Yeah,
When my cousin passed, we were 19, I had another visitation. I always was sensitive to spirit. But coming from New York and coming from a Greek Orthodox religion and friends and family that I associated with, nobody believed in this. So I was the outcast, and I found it easier to keep my mouth shut and to be accepted than go against the grain.
yeah,
But now, because of my journey, I'm basically here to help people feel less alone in what they're already experiencing. Because that's what it is. People feel like they're doing this alone, and they're not. That's
yeah,
why they stay silent.
yeah. So how difficult, it must have been very difficult for you actually to suppress those emotions.
But even from a child, even from when I used to go to church, Sunday school and what have you, I never resonated with any of that. I was the black sheep. I would always ask these questions. I would always get in trouble.
Yeah,
And I just knew there was more to life than what we were taught.
yeah,
I could feel more, I could sense more. I would always receive insight through intuition. I felt energy. I had a few visitations that I saw a spirit. So it was just, I didn't think I was going crazy. I just knew there was something else. I didn't have a vocabulary for it, nor did I have anybody I could speak to about it. Back then, we didn't have, Zoom and Facebook and these beautiful communities you could talk to people that are on the same page as you. Back then, it was just you. If you found somebody, I mean, if I did find a bookstore half an hour away and I went and I met somebody my age, they thought I was some kind of a psycho. I just wanted to be their friend. Please call me, hang out with me. Even I was overly excited, they would walk away.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
just, light was shining here and there. I would go to the light, but nobody else was receptive to it. So I understand. I understand people's blocks. I understand when they're nervous. I understand when it doesn't fit with the conditioning of their mind and what they were taught to believe. I get all of that. That's why I offer classes. That's why I write books. That's why I do trance presentations, demonstrations. I do all of it. I'm writing a movie. I just keep putting it out to the world, whatever I'm remembering,
Yeah.
because this awakening everybody's talking about. It's not about recognizing our spirit realm and we're on an earthly realm. It's about awakening and remembering that you're an essence and you've never left. You're still connected to this realm.
So do we all have this ability?
Yeah, we're all spirit, we're all essence. Every one of us. Look at it this way. You have intuition, don't you?
Yes, yes.
Everybody has intuition. How often have you noticed it, but went against it, and then afterward, in hindsight, you're like, you went the other way. That's because intuition is direct guidance from your higher self, another version of you as essence, not attached to the human reality, but constantly providing insight directly through intuition on how to guide you through the journey.
So how do you personally define spirit in a way that feels accessible rather than mystical?
Consciousness,
Hmm,
raw consciousness. Spirit doesn't have a form. There's no body. Right? You have the conscious mind that's very active, and you have your awareness. It's in the back of the mind,
mhm.
okay? If you wanna view it this way, your higher self, a version of you, planted the awareness into your brain when your body was formed and entered this world, and that's like the receptor. That's how you receive constantly. When you shift your focus from the conscious mind to your awareness, what's happening is there's this human consciousness field that surrounds the body. That's your inner field. Outside of that is your auric field. That's where spirit connects in the auric field, and it's all met within this human consciousness field where the awareness is. So it's just consciousness, awareness meeting consciousness. That's all we are.
So how did your cousin appear to you?
Uh, that was interesting. The first time was in the hospital when he was dying. I was holding his hand, and he was just speaking to me like he was right next to me. He had a distinct laugh, and it was beautiful, and I just felt him around. It wasn't until a year later, I was walking through a park going home, and he was again having a conversation with me as if he was standing next to me. Clear as day, I heard it. So that was the beginning part. But then many years later, when I moved, before I moved to this Greek island that I live on now, I was going through a divorce. I just came in to get away. And as I was walking to my grandfather's property, there was a cistern up in the top of the property here. And I saw something, a figure, but I just assumed it was the light bouncing off the metal. And as I was getting closer, he was actually there in the same clothes I remembered him last. And we just had to have a conversation for an hour.
So
It was
you
incredible.
weren't afraid?
A what?
You weren't afraid?
No, because it was him. And I love him, and I feel safe with him. That's why if it was somebody I didn't know, I probably would have ran for the hills. But again, I wrote about that in my 3rd book. What it is that, again, this consciousness is in the human consciousness field and the auric field I was talking about. When we finish this existence, our essence returns, the human conscious field returns as awareness returns, but the auric field remains in this reality. And the residue of who I was or who he was remains in that auric field. So that's how a projection, like a spirit, like an actual person is there. That's how evidential mediums connect to loved ones. That's how orbs apparitions form because this auric field is still very much alive and present, but only residues. And they don't speak. They have no body to speak, no form. So it's dubbed into my consciousness that I could hear him speaking as he's speaking one to one, which is amazing. When I started understanding the architecture behind it, it made so much more sense. And that's how it all happens.
So it's through telepathy that you're able to communicate.
Telepathy occurs from your higher self to you through that intuition. Telepathy, the same way right now, we perceive we're speaking human to human, but we're not. We're communicating essence to essence through the human form. The human form is our vessel, of the essence is vessel. But the perception and the conditioning of the mind, remember, the conditioning is huge. The human identity, who we think we are, is built on that same conditioning. This is centuries in the works.
Yeah.
You know, instilling fear, all the religious institutions. Think about this. Trance mediumship was the purest form of communication centuries ago. You
Okay.
didn't need an
Before we
intermediary.
go into trance, though, what is trance mediumship? Because a lot of people don't know what that is.
Yeah, I understand. We'll get to that. The religious institutions, in order for them to gain control and power, they had to instill fear. So the instill fear in the masses is why people are still very much connected to religion, this idea of separation, heaven, hell. Somebody dies, you have to wait, you have to live your life, you have to repent, you have to find salvation, to go to heaven, to go to hell. All this has been instilled to control the masses so they can gain control. It's none of it is real. So we're thinking and we're trying to connect with spirit through the conditioned mind of the human identity. And that's limitations. That's based on your beliefs. It's based on your beliefs, your personal life, all the experiences you went through, your religious knowledge, your educational knowledge, what you've heard and what you're afraid of. All of that combined is who makes you your human identity. So
So are
that
you
person's
suggesting, though, Nico, that there isn't a heaven or hell, or is there?
no, no, there's no hell. We want to believe that, but there's not. If you think about this, if you're pure love and you're an essence, right? You're pure love and you're always in this realm of this infinite field of consciousness where the creator is. And that original aspect of you as origin wanted to learn and express itself through incarnations. There's an entire architecture, oversoul, higher self, human self, incarnation. All of this is an architecture that nobody remembers. Ralph Waldo Emerson in 1841 wrote about the oversoul. 1841. It's 2026 and nobody's even talking about it still. Right? I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy. That my 4th book is about the oversoul. We got to get this knowledge out there because there's so much of an architecture that we don't even know about.
Yeah.
When people allow their consciousness to expand, they basically reach the higher self. And they said that's God. There's so much more above that we don't see. So
Right.
if you're in that architecture and you are that eternal soul, where is hell? Where is evil? Again, a concept created to instill fear to the masses so they could be good and they could go to church and they could follow religious doctrines. That's all that is. It's not real.
Hmm.
How can it be real? You never left. You're still that same essence, your consciousness, your projection. Your breath is your soul, your essence.
So, okay, so you're saying from your perspective, because everyone has their perspective, that
It's actually spirit's perspective. This is what I receive when I'm in trance. So it's not my perspective. I don't learn any of this stuff in school.
okay, so what is trance mediumship?
So let's go back to that human consciousness field we spoke about, okay? Even evidential mediumship. What that entails is a medium relaxes the brain hurts. Now, right now we're speaking and our brain hurts is 13.5 to 30. This is referred to as the beta state. Then you breathe and you relax, hypnosis, meditation. The brain hertz drop from 13 to 9.5. That's the alpha. Then you go even further, more breathing, relaxing the body. And what's happening now is you're also shifting from your conscious mind to the awareness, or from your conscious mind to your intuitive mind, however you want to look at it. Now, the brain hertz are from 8.5 to 3.5. And then the further you go, that's the theta state. Then the further you go into the delta state, which is sleep.
Yeah.
So if every single human sleeps, every single human passes through the trance state to go to sleep. And the same when you wake up. So that the heart of trance is when the brain hits are between 3.5 and 5.5. That equates to when you wake up in the morning, you hit the snooze button, you don't want to go anywhere, just 5 more minutes, that beautiful bliss state, that's
I
trance.
did that this morning.
There you go. You in trance.
Yeah.
So all of us enter and exit trance repeatedly.
Hmm.
So now what evidential is that when they bring their hertz down to the alpha, unbeknownst to a lot of mediums, their awareness is the center of that human consciousness field. If spirit attaches to the auric field, it blends to the human consciousness field. That's how they're aware of the consciousness of spirit of someone's loved one. And all you have to do to be an effective evidential medium is to notice and report. That's it. But a majority of them translate and interpret and make it theirs. That's why they're inconsistent. There's a lot of no's rather than yes, I understand who that is. That's why they all struggle, because they're going through a format taught by other humans through other conditioned minds through generations. It's the same cycle going around, but that's not accurate. Trance is when you allow yourself to go even further down into the theta. Now, it's no longer about me, the medium. That's why I'm going even to a further state of consciousness, of altered state of consciousness. Again, I'm in that human consciousness field where all is connected through the auric field. So if I have shared awareness with my higher self, it's again, my higher self is the one orchestrating this transmission. A spirit guide, or in my situation, three is a collective. They blend within that human consciousness field, and they're coming through my consciousness, through my awareness. My brain is out of it. That's why I don't even know what's happening. I don't recall anything. If my breath is my essence anchored to my human body, because that's another misperception that our souls are in our body, that's not possible. It would compress the entire body. It's like I wrote about that in my second book, like the hydraulic press of a junkyard. They just crush the car. It's that powerful, the soul.
Yeah.
So the energy, there's no way you can contain it. But the breath is what anchors it. So if my breath is what I use to come through my vocal cords to speak, the same exact format happens, comes through the breath, and my speech comes out of my body, but it's altered. It's more spirit. It's more their personality, their cadence. It's my vocabulary and what my subconscious has stored. Even words I don't use in my daily life is still, I've read about them, I learned them in school. They're still in my subconscious. Like we all have those big SAT words or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
spirit taps in to the subconscious and realizes all the vocabulary you possess, your cadence, your way of speech, your language, and they utilize what you already have as the vessel to speak and guide people in this world.
So spirit doesn't just tap in. You have to be in
No.
a trance,
Yeah.
I'll say, right?
100%.
Okay, so it's
What
not.
happens is that there's levels of trance: light, moderate, deep, and the somnambulistic, which is very, very deep. Like 11% of the world mediums sustain that one. I dip in the night if I haven't sustained it yet. There's still time. A lot of mediums, a lot of trance mediums, they just hit the light trance state, which I refer to as channeling. Now, again, it's misinterpretation. In America, channeling is referred to as trance mediumship. In the UK and Europe, Transmediumship is transmediumship, but I like to differentiate it with channeling. It's the light trance state, which is also inspirational speaking. Now, that is also an ability everybody has. This
Yeah.
is when somebody is with you that's struggling or loss or grief or heartache, whatever, and you just know the right thing to say and you say it. It doesn't, it comes out of nowhere. That's inspirational speaking. That's you in a light trance state because you're just so peaceful and receptive to this person's pain. You're not in that conscious mind. You've drifted to the awareness and this information is coming through and you're saying the right things. Inspirational speaking, light trance state. And that's what a lot of people do and don't even realize they're doing
So I'm listening to this and I'm so fascinated. And
it.
I really am. I really am.
I was too when I first peeled the onion apart. I was like, wow, what is this? But now it's just, how could the world not remember this? Is my thinking, you know? It's just,
Yeah.
that's who we are.
Well, we're so overwhelmed with things that are going on day to day just to survive. But how do you respond to skeptics without needing to convince them
I
about
don't have to convince anybody. I'm not here. What I realized also, and that's how you get to the deeper levels of trance. And again, when I first started as a trance medium, and I was an evidential medium first, so I'm still both.
Yeah.
I had different guides that were assisting me. And, you know, it's like one helped with the nervous system to calm me down, so get the fear out that was implanted through the conditioning mind I was mentioning of all that fear that even I heard about and I read about. And then that was gone. Then I realized the connection of energy. Then I understood it's consciousness. Then I recognized it as a sacred collaboration. That's when my last group of my team comes in and we're working together now, collaborating. And this is very, very sacred. And they're from the celestial realm. So it's extremely sacred. It's very connected to the creator. It's a beautiful feeling I have. I get lost in it for an hour and a half. I have no idea the time even passed. It for like 5 minutes. And I've come to realize that my service, why I'm here, is to be of service to the spirit realm, to essence, to my essence, to higher self, to my collaborators. That's my service. It's never about this world.
Yeah.
So I don't place emphasis on who's in front of me or if it's a demonstration. It doesn't make a difference to me because I'm just a vessel. So when there are skeptics, which I don't really get many skeptics, because also I've come to realize that even through other mediums that I watch them, sometimes my understanding, my barometer here is that if I could feel the essence of spirit near me while you're in trance, then you really are connected to spirit. If I don't feel anything, but I'm just watching you speak, you're coming in and out of it, and it's more you're doing a performance.
Mm.
So whenever I'm actually in these trance demonstrations, people could feel presence around them, even if they're unaware of it. They'll get emotional, their hearts expand, they could feel something run looking around. It's the presence of spirit. And that's how they know it's authentic.
So how does spirit know what messages to deliver and what to withhold?
Again, it's not human to human. So even if they're coming through me, it's still not essence human to human. It's essence to essence. So just as I have a higher self, you have a higher self. They're always interconnected. They're always interchanging concepts, ideas, whatever. So your higher self will definitely tell my higher self what you need to hear at this time. So my guides come in, and the way I picture it is like they have call sheet, like who's going to show up. Nothing is random. It's all intentional, and they speak randomly. If 5 out of 10 people are going through grief, they're going to touch on grief that connects to everybody.
Yeah.
So they have some kind of a way that they just know exactly what to say at the right time. When people book for a private session with trans mediumship, they know exactly what they're going to say. And I tell them come with questions, and 85, 90% of the time, they'll give them some guidance at the beginning that'll last about 10, 15 minutes. And in that guidance, they've already answered all the questions they had written down. I find that fascinating.
That is.
But
It is.
from a human identity, I find it fascinating. As an essence, it's natural because it's not about the human in front of me. It's about their higher selves connecting and understanding, and all this has been transferred way prior. And if there's no sense of time, we believe in time. It's
Right.
instantaneous. It's instantaneous information, which is
But
amazing.
you said earlier that my higher self would communicate to your higher self, right?
Yeah,
And to make sure I get the messages that I need at this time to hear. But
right.
how do I tap into my higher self?
Trusting your intuition. You want to soften the human identity. It always starts in this world, recognizing that every relationship is intentional. Nothing is random. Even the stranger you meet in the street, You pass and you just kind of know you know this person for somehow. That's a soul recognition. Every relationship you have, even those who inflicted pain upon you and those who love you dearly, they're all soul agreements. All, every one of them, right? And understanding that every interaction you engage with in a relationship, you've learned something, either emotions that you never would have felt otherwise for no other reason, but that person brought it onto you through the experiences, and they're learning from you. So we learn through emotions that are born of this realm. Every emotion has love as the underlining.
Yeah.
Pain, betrayal, deceit, grief, heartache. Everything has love as the underlining because love is who you are. The other thing is that the human mind, the conscious mind, cannot create emotion. It's not possible. It's not wired that way. Your essence is the emotion. If you took away the breath, you'd have no life. If you took
Right.
away the emotion, you'd be a robot. Your emotions and your breath is your essence,
Hmm.
right? So because of love, that's why every child only knows love. Their human identity hasn't been formed yet. When you become bitter and you get older because of so many things that happen to you, you've become the human identity. You've detached from your true essence. That's why you're having so many difficult moments in life. You're not noticing that they're happening for a reason. And if you remember you're of love and you honor every single relationship, they don't land as heavy as they used to. You get, okay, I see what this is for. I get it. You're living it as an essence. We have to live through the emotion to physically feel the pain. So heartache cuts because the nervous system reacts. Okay. The mind only labels and identifies what it is, it doesn't create it. So if
Hmm.
there's confusion and there's attachment and there's heartache, the body reacts and it feels like, a deep cut.
Right.
You have to live that pain in order for your higher self. Also, you can feel that as well. You're connected as one. Your essence isn't going to learn through an encyclopedia set or a textbook. It's going to learn because you learn by feeling the emotion living through it. That's why this human journey is so powerful, and we view it as what a waste, which is crazy. That's the human identity giving up.
So, what do spirits most often want the living to understand?
It's basically about less focus on this illusion we call life. Not everything should be life threatening. Not everything should hold so much weight, because if you understand it as what it is, that's how you soften the human identity, and you're in the awareness and you're connecting the spirit 24 hours a day. They don't stop. There's always a 24-hour connection. We don't tap into it because we're so busy,
Right.
preoccupied with bills and relationships and stress. So we keep ourselves focused on the human identity and what's going on in this world. We don't realize that we have guidance 24/7. We have love. People say, I feel so alone. I'm like, you're surrounded by a team. How are you alone?
Yeah, but how do people begin to recognize spirits in everyday moments without the fear?
Take the fear away. Fear is an illusion. What are you fearing? Fear is attached with the human identity. So everybody fears because of what their mind was conditioned to believe. Fear is not even real. If you break it down, when I have these courses that I offer, I break down every element of fear. I had them all say what they're afraid of, and we break it down from the lens of your higher self. You have two lenses to look at: the lens through your human identity and the lens through your higher self. You always are afforded two lenses, but most of this world only sees through one.
Right.
They're unaware they have another lens, which is crazy. So when you look at it through that lens, there is no fear because the life is transient. It's going to be over before you know it. Your essence is eternal. And
Yes.
that's what makes it so possible to realize that if your essence wants to learn through an incarnation, why settle at one? If there's no time, there's multiple realities overlapping what we think is a linear timeline. So there's multiple incarnations of your essence at the same exact time. That's cross conscious overlapping.
Yes.
That's when you have dreams and you know it's you, but you don't know the surrounding of the people in it, but you know it's you. That's another you, cross conscious overlap that you're receiving it in the dream. I go there a lot when I'm in trance. I'm always in a different scene, which is amazing. But I don't come back and write it down like, oh, I'm living this life. That's the human identities need to control and understand everything. I don't need to control. I've experienced it. I know it's happening. Good enough.
But it's hard to get out of the human identity when you're surrounded by, work, children, family, bills, all these other stresses. So,
Yeah.
what has spirit taught you about human suffering and the purpose of human suffering?
Again, the suffering is to learn that emotion on a deep level. And not only that, but how do you react? So there's multiple lessons we're learning. We're very unaware. One of them is the lessons. This is extremely important during the developmental years. Your first crush, your first heartache, your first disappointment, your first betrayal, all of that in the early years is how you're digesting emotions on a deep level that you otherwise would never have learned. That's one part of it. The second part of it is remembering that you are essence. You feel love around you. Everybody I've ever spoken to, there's difficult times when you feel like you're at the end of your rope and you're crying behind closed doors. You always feel a presence near you.
Yeah, it's
You
true.
feel something.
Yes.
You don't know what it is, but you feel something.
Yes.
That's your higher self. That's your higher self, again, with you to bring you support, courage, and love to get through this moment because you're kind of giving up because it's overwhelming. But that's exactly when presence is most powerful,
Hmm.
right? All of these are lessons that we're just skipping right over. Then the main crux of this incarnation is okay, now I understand I'm an essence and I understand how relationships are formed as a covenant, this whole agreement before the incarnation even begins. So my child, I need to look at them as another essence living their life, not me as a parent dictating their life. They're not my property. My spouse or my significant other, again, an essence living their life. Nobody knows what the other person's higher self wishes to learn and how their life is designed to get those lessons lived so we can integrate it and evolve the same way you don't know 100% what your life entails.
Yeah.
So how could we judge others? So we're judging people we don't even know about, right? We're causing conflict by being territorial, possessive with our children or friends or whatever, which is not supposed to happen either. So
Yeah.
then another part of incarnation is how do you project your essence, which is unconditional love? Can you love unconditionally? Because a lot of people can't. Because you love a child unconditionally when they're born and they're helpless, but then when they're a teenager and they're cursing you out, you don't love them unconditionally, right?
Right.
Everybody should be loved unconditionally as your essence, even if they're going to come and inflict pain upon you. Turn the other cheek. Just love them because it's still essence. And if everybody, all humanity does that, it'd be a different world we live in. And that's where humanity is going to go eventually. That's why this awakening is happening. This expanded consciousness throughout. People are starting to ask about spirit. More people are looking into evidential, even trance. It's just starting now. It's maybe 50 or 100 years away from really being that utopia that he talks about, but it's going to definitely happen. It
So,
has to happen.
yeah, yeah, you're right. So, when all is said and done, what do you believe we are truly here to remember? Because you talked about we should be remembering, what
Yeah.
happened to us. So what do you think that
Not,
we're truly here to
not,
remember?
o- not only to remember that you're an essence, but to remember that there is an architecture of your essence which passes the higher self. And that's what I'm realizing the majority of the population has no clue. I think that's this time that we're in. I mean, every century has their time for specific changes that are drastic, that helps evolution of the species into the future. I think that's happening right now. Not only to recognize your essence, but what's the architecture behind it? That's what all my courses now, my books are all focusing about the architecture. So that's my purpose to bring that forth. I'm not going to change the entire world, but I'm planting seeds, and then others will take those seeds and plant them elsewhere. And then the whole world will start speaking about the architecture, start speaking about the essence, remembering it. And when that happens, then the human identity is naturally softened, and not everything takes our focus away. And we're not
Yeah.
stressing over spilled milk.
Yes. Yes. Niko the Medium, where can people reach you? You are a fascinating individual. Very fascinating. I'm telling everybody I'm doing a second show with Niko. I have to. We have to continue this discussion later in the year. You're so intriguing
And
and interesting.
you could even have my guides as your guests through trance.
Oh, that would be very interesting.
Yeah,
Okay,
let have
okay,
them answer your questions and have dialogue with you, right from the spirit world.
okay, let's do that. We'll definitely do that. That's gonna be very interesting. That will be the first time I'm doing that on a show. Okay, I would
There
love
you
to do
go.
that.
And you can
Okay,
even have your callers write in questions before that or call in and they could ask directly too, however you work
we'll
with
do a
people.
live show.
Awesome.
We'll do a live show. Okay, before we go, where can people reach you?
NikoTheMedium.com. That's the simplest, my website, Niko themedium.com. On that, I have everything. I have the links to my Facebook, Instagram, the link to all the books that I've written and I'm continuing writing. I'm even offering a podcast. Noah Speaks. Noah's the name of the collective that speaks to me, so they do that too. Everything. Courses, services, if they want to book any private sessions, all that is on the website. It's easy. It's one container. They could find it, look through it. They could even book a free consultation, half an hour. We could just talk about whatever, see where they want to go on their journey. I can help however I can help. It's for free. So I'm accessible. I'm here to help. I'm here to help people remember.
Awesome. I know that you are. I feel it. And we'll definitely include all of that information in the show notes. So, Niko the Medium, thank you very much for joining us. We will do another live show. Sorry, a live show in the year. I can hardly wait. It'll be the first time through Trance. It'll be very interesting. But, Niko, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Jake. It was my pleasure. Thank you
Uh,
very much.
Thank you, Niko, for sharing such powerful insights and for opening a space where listeners can begin to reimagine connection, healing, and the unseen intelligence that surrounds us all. Today's conversation reminds us that peace, love, and guidance are often closer than we think, and that every moment holds the opportunity for deeper awareness. And for those listening, if this conversation touched you or brought you comfort, be sure to explore more of Niko's work, from his writings and courses to his trance mediumship sessions that help bring hope and healing to many around the world. Thank you again, Niko, and to our audience. Until next time, stay open, stay curious, and keep seeking connection that elevates the spirit. I'm Jackie Denise. Thanks for joining.